Hello and welcome to Let's Make It Vegan. This is Chef Red, and today we're going to be taking on making chicken, or a mock chicken meat, in order to use in gyros. And we're going to be making the gyros pretty much traditional. We're going to be making the tzatziki, got all the veggies for in it, of course the peppers, onions, garlic, all those kind of things that are going to go in. But first we've got to tackle making the meat, or as I call it, the chicken. We're going to go about that in a little different way than some of the things you may have seen. It's not going to be a straight seitan sort of recipe, but kind of a hybrid of some different things that I've come up with in order to get the texture a little bit better for making the chicken, because seitan seems to get a little bit too chewy and rigid. So we're going to break that up by using a couple different things in this recipe. Of course, we're going to start out with our vital wheat gluten, and we're going to be using about a cup of vital wheat gluten. Next, we have TVP, or textured vegetable protein. Now, I did something a little bit different as far as with the textured vegetable protein. This is your straight textured vegetable protein, how it will come in the package. It's kind of like nuggets, and it will be, and if we use that straight, it's going to be too big. So what I basically did was took the textured vegetable protein and zipped it up in my high-speed blender in order to make it a lot smaller, not necessarily a powder, but kind of in between the nuggets that it was and a powder. And what this is going to allow us to do is get a good bind in the mixture between the vital wheat gluten and the textured vegetable protein. It's something that I tried a couple times. It's worked very well for chicken and gives a much better texture to the chicken that's more chicken-like. And we are going to be doing this because we did have a suggestion from Brandon from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Thank you, Brandon. I appreciate it. And Brandon is also a Penn State alumnus. Thank you, Brandon. We appreciate that. And we are, and you got it. All right, we're going to get started working on the meat at this point. And basically what I have here is a chicken broth, or a chicken flavored broth, that I made from a mock chicken base or a chicken bouillon. And also with that, I do use a mushroom base. The mushroom base gives a little more flavor as far as from the standpoint of the umami kind of flavor that you get from meat. So I do use a combination of these two. And when I mix it up, kind of think about how much do you put in. You kind of have an idea of what broth is supposed to taste like. But what we want in this is to taste a lot stronger and a lot more salty than what you're looking for. So you're going to want kind of like what I would call a double strength, because when all the ingredients go into here and it gets mixed up, and the vital wheat gluten ball of dough, once it cooks, it's going to expand. So this flavor is going to be spending a lot of time getting expanded. So it's got to be strong to start out, because it's going to be taking up a pretty good area. So let's get started with getting this mixed up, and I'll show you basically how that is done. And what we're going to do is just have a basic mixing bowl here, and we're going to go ahead and start out with our vital wheat gluten. Like I said, about a cup of it we got going in here. And then we're going to take our ground up textured vegetable protein right in here, and we'll get that mixed up a little bit ahead of time, because one of the things that you'll find with working with vital wheat gluten is once you start adding the liquid, it's going to start to set pretty quickly and turn into, more of a dough. So I want to get the two different textures in here mixed up really well ahead of time. And then we'll go ahead and put in our broth. And I do want to say, with this broth mix, I mixed it up earlier for a couple of reasons. You want all the flavors to get in here and get developed. Along with the two different broth mix, I did, of course, put garlic, which pretty much, unless it's breakfast cereal, I'm putting garlic in it, just in order to come up with a great flavor. And when I did that, I got the water very hot, not necessarily boiling, but very hot so that everything would dissolve really well in it. And I chilled this. You do not want to be putting hot liquid into your Vital Wheat Gluten mixture, or it's just going to seize and gum up right away. So this has been chilled after mixing it up. So what we're going to do is go ahead and get this put in there and mixed up slowly, and I'll give you an idea of what this is going to look like. And once it comes together, we're going to go ahead and knead it more like bread. You'll see now it's actually starting to come together. And that textured vegetable protein absorbs a lot of water. It takes a lot of liquid because these little nuggets, how it starts out, it's a great substitute for something like ground beef. So in order to hydrate it, it does take a good bit of liquid. And one of the reasons that you're going to be wanting this to sit and develop in the refrigerator for a while is so that it can get completely hydrated. And as it gets completely hydrated, the flavors of this broth get mixed all through. We're pretty close to where we need to be right here. Still got a little bit of dry stuff at the bottom, but the texture's getting pretty close. I'm going to go ahead and do just a little bit more so that we're sure we're completely hydrated. There, we got some of that dry stuff off the bottom. And I'll be taking this out of the container here, and we're going to go ahead and take it out of here and start working it by hand. Let me get a cutting board and bring it over here, and I'll give you an idea of what this looks like. And it's basically like a dough. And as you can see right now, it's already starting to look a little bit chickeny. And you can see right now the texture is a little bit crumbly. So what we're going to do, once we have this all mixed up, that little bit of crumbliness is due to the fact that the textured vegetable protein hasn't really completely hydrated, and it's still kind of feeling like sand in there, so it's not sticking all together. So once that picks up more of the liquid, it's going to be completely hydrated, and the Vital Wheat Gluten then is also going to then start to attach to it. And originally when I did this, I looked at how this was going, I thought, oh man, this is an epic failure. But just wait, it won't be. So once we get this nice and combined, what we're gonna do, get it packed together here real nice, and we're gonna put it back in my glass bowl. I'm gonna go ahead back in here, smash it down, get it all nice and tightly packed in there. And what we're gonna do is cover this with plastic wrap, get it in the refrigerator for at least an hour. You want it to rest, to chill, and get completely hydrated. So an hour minimum. You could do this the day before and bring it out the next day, but we're going to go ahead and let this guy set and develop, and when we come back, we'll get right to this, show you again then what it looks like, and then we're going to go ahead and get it into the steamer and get it cooked. And in the meantime, we'll be working on making then our tzatziki and getting our veggies and everything ready. So right now, let's go ahead and let this rest, and we'll take a break and we'll come back. Alright, so we're back. We're going to now work on the tzatziki sauce. And basically what we're going to do is, what I've done already is grated a whole seedless cucumber. And just with your regular grater, nothing real fine, something that you would use for grating cheese for putting on pizza. And what we want to do is get this completely strained out as much as possible. So what I'm going to do is take a towel, and we're going to go ahead and just pour it plop into the towel, and we're going to squeeze all the excess water out of this. And as you can see, It's a lot. And we're going to keep it squeezing and turning and getting all that out as much as possible until it seems like we're either going to break our hands or wrists or no more water's coming out. So slowing down pretty good. Like I said, that was a whole cucumber, and you can see the amount that's left here. So we're pretty good. And what we want to do is just make sure that we're not watering down our sauce. I'm going to get rid of the extra water here, and then back in our bowl that we're going to go ahead and mix in, give you an idea what that looks like. It's kind of like if you're working with spinach and never drained spinach. We have a ball of shredded cucumber. So I'm just going to bust that up a little bit, get it back in here, and what we're going to do is get to work on the other ingredients. What I'm going to do today, and basically because with traditional tzatziki, you're going to be wanting to use a plain Greek yogurt. I have not found a very good Greek vegan yogurt. So what I've basically discovered and what I've been using, there is plain yogurt out there that's available that is, 100% plant-based. This one's from So Delicious. It's a plain yogurt. And also tofuti sour cream works great on a lot of things. I use this in a lot of recipes for different dips and toppings and things like that. This thing is really thick and pretty close to Greek yogurt, not only in taste but in texture, since it is nice and thick and rich. The plain yogurt is a little runny for my taste. So basically what I'm going to do is combine both of these into this recipe to make my own version of a thick Greek yogurt. So we've got the sour cream that we've got here, and you can see how thick that stuff is. And that's going to work great for us because we're going to be adding different things to this, and we don't want it to be too thin by the end. So we've got our tofuti sour cream, and here's the plain yogurt, and you can see the difference in textures there. So we've got the plain yogurt going in here. Also, as far as what is very needed in traditional tzatziki, lemon juice. So we've got a lemon here. This is a very juicy lemon. Just using a small strainer to take out the seeds. And we're gonna juice this whole lemon because we want that good lemony bite in here. And we don't want the seeds. And I'm glad I'm using the strainer and not my hand because there's a bunch of seeds in these guys. Alright. So we've got a good amount of lemon juice in here. Put that to the side. Also, extremely important, fresh chopped garlic. This is a decent amount of garlic. This is probably 5 pretty big cloves. Fresh chopped, definitely better than the pre-chopped stuff that you'll get in the jar. I never get that much flavor out of it, but we definitely want to have a garlicky bite to this. So I'm going to put all that fresh chopped garlic in there. Also, fresh chopped dill. Just chop this dill. Not a whole lot. It's going to add a little bit of background flavor, but fresh chopped dill in here also. Other things that are very important, olive oil. A decent, flavorful olive oil. We're going to want to go ahead and get a decent dribble in there. And that's why you want that sour cream or yogurt to be thick, because of all the other liquids that we're adding in here for the flavors. And I'm just going to go ahead and get this guy mixed up. And as you can see, this is looking pretty good. So luckily we did have that thick sour cream, or if we added that kind of liquid between the olive oil and the lemon juice to the plant-based yogurt, this thing would be completely runny. But now we've at least got a decent consistency for tzatziki. And let me just give that a try. Definitely the lemoniness. Garlic isn't in there yet, but that's going to develop as it sits. So what we're going to do is now go ahead and let this guy rest in the refrigerator along with the chicken mixture that's resting and getting ready. And we'll get this in there beside it and come back, and then we'll start steaming our chicken and getting our gyros ready to go. Thank you. Okay. All right, here we are. We've got the steamer going. We've got our chicken dough mix. Just took it out of the refrigerator, and we'll get it out of here. And as you can see, it's much more solid and dense than it was. And what I kind of want to do is get this ready to steam. And I'm just going to cut it in half and kind of show you how the texture is and get an idea. That is even before it's cooked. It is very soft and kind of doughy, but as you can see, it's got some elasticity to it that is going to end up being very much like chicken by the time that we get it all steamed. And what I'm going to do is, so that we have something to slice up decently, familiar with the kind of thin little slices that usually you'll find in your gyros. And what we're going to do, I'm just going to flatten these guys out and put a small piece of parchment paper underneath them, and we're going to go ahead and steam this up and get it cooked. And then once this is cooked, we'll be able to make nice slices out of here, and then we're going to even flavor those slices a bit more to make it taste more like the traditional Greek gyro kind of meat that you're used to. So we've got these guys here, and we got them a little bit thinner, and I wanted to separate them into two pieces because I want to make sure that we get a good even cook on both sides of these. So, and it's nothing technical. I'm just going to rip off a piece of parchment paper that'll go on the bottom just to kind of prevent sticking. And we're going to go into the steamer here with one, get some other paper, a little too big, for underneath the other, just right underneath here. And we're going to go into the steamer, and we're going to steam these guys up. Now, just to give you an idea, these guys are going to grow in size. They're going to take in some moisture. They're going to expand a bit. In the end, these guys will not necessarily double in size, but maybe get another third larger and get much more elastic and chicken-like. So we're going to let these guys go for about 45 minutes, and when we come back, we're going to go ahead and show you. We're going to get them sliced up and ready to go on the gyros. Thanks. Alright, so here we are. We've got our chicken that has been steamed for right about 45 minutes. Took it out, let it sit a little bit so it's not too hot for me to touch and slice. Let's give you just a little idea of the texture and how this looks. As you can see, it's not crumbly. it's sticking together, and it's definitely got some texture. You can see some of the fiber in it, the little chunks, and it's pretty darn close to chicken. From a standpoint of taste, it's really chickeny. I mean, it's crazy how chickeny it is. So that is what we basically created with the Vital Wheat Gluten and the TVP. And now I'm just going to go ahead and make some thin slices. Just some thin slices like this, that is similar to what you would normally find in a gyro. And we're just going to go ahead and slice these guys up. And once we get these guys sliced up, we're going to flavor it a little bit more in order to be a little more Greek, a little more Middle Eastern as far as from a flavor standpoint. We're going to use a flavoring mix called Za'atar, and it's a combination of many different flavors: oregano, sumac, which gives a lemony kind of flavor, sesame seeds, salt. It is a really, if you've never tasted it, it's kind of something that kind of really gets your attention. It's a little bit on the citrusy, but it's also got some spice with the oregano. So what we're going to do is go ahead and get these guys, and we're going to fry them up just in order to get that flavor in there. And just like chicken, some of these are actually going to fall apart. Just like if you slice chicken real thin, it's not all going to hold, depending on what the structure of the meat is. But we'll go ahead and add some olive oil to our pan that we've got warmed up. Going to get some olive oil in here, and we have some of the seasoning, and I'm going to just sprinkle some on over here and just get it a little bit on all the sides. And just tossed around just to get some extra flavor on these guys. They definitely already taste like chicken, but as you know, whenever you get a gyro in a restaurant, there's also some great seasoning that comes in that meat. What I was able to show you is a basic chicken recipe, and we started with a chicken, now we're getting it a little more flavored. And we'll go ahead and get some of those guys in here, and we're just going to brown them up real quick in order to get some flavor, a little bit of caramelization on them, which will definitely help. And we'll go ahead and get some of these guys in here. Getting a nice little sizzle and sear. That smells great. And it's okay, like I said, if some of these guys fall apart, that's no problem, because they're all going in your pita bread. We'll go ahead and get all these guys in here. Get them warmed up. Get a little caramelization and sizzle there, and we will be ready to go. We'll get a plate ready to take these guys out. Okay, so we've got these guys going in here. As you can see, we've got some browning, and this is definitely smelling great, looking like your normal traditional gyro meat, and I am so happy with how these guys are turning out. And in just a few seconds, we're gonna take these guys out of here and get them on the plate here and get ready to be plating up. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna keep this pan right here on the stove, and with the flavors of the za'atar and a little bit of oil in here, we're gonna go ahead and heat up our pitas and be ready to start plating up and getting our gyros on. And we'll go ahead and get these guys out. As you can see, looking real nice. So we've got some nice gyro meat. I mean, if that doesn't remind you of what you're actually going to be getting when you go to a Greek restaurant, I'm not sure what will. We'll be right back and we'll start making these guys. Okay, here we are. Got the same pan that we just heated up the gyro meat in, and I've got one of our flatbreads, and this is a whole wheat, and these are really nice. And we just want to go ahead and get this guy heated through. And what that's going to do is give it a little bit of toasty flavor, make it a lot more pliable, and also the goodness that's been in the pan as far as from that za'atar seasoning is going to also get in through here. So just let this go for a couple minutes, not even a couple minutes. As you can hear, we're getting a little sear. I did put a little bit of, just a couple drizzles of olive oil in there, and we got that in here, and we'll go ahead and give that a turn. And mostly what we're doing is just making sure that this guy is heated up nicely, and watch it is, and get a little flavor on there and make it, like I said, nice and pliable. Alright, we got that, and we'll go ahead and set this on a plate, and we'll go over and start building. Alright, here we are. We've got everything ready to be creating our chicken gyro, and we've got our meat here, our chicken, all seasoned, ready to go, nice thin slices. We've got our tzatziki that we made from scratch, ready to go. We've got sliced tomatoes, onions. We even have a vegan feta cheese that is brought to you by Violife. We've got, of course, peppercini peppers, which you have to have, some green leaf lettuce, and let's go and start building this guy and putting together a wonderful gyro. And I am going to generously get this tzatziki, and I don't know if you've ever had good tzatziki, but it makes everything. We can use this guy as a dip and as a flavoring to lots of veggies, things like that. So we've got it here, and we're also going to start adding our chicken, and we'll put definitely some layers of our chicken on here. Nicely flavored, ready to go. And we'll go ahead and put on some tomatoes regular old red onion. Got here ready to go. And of course, if you don't like any of these things, you don't need to add them. And we'll go ahead and get some of our green leaf lettuce on here. And I definitely recommend leaf lettuce as opposed to your regular old iceberg lettuce. It's far superior in nutrition. And we'll go ahead and drop in some of our feta cheese. That is going to add some great tasty tanginess to it. That's some good stuff there. And just to give you a little example, I'm going to fold this guy up, throw on a couple of pepperoncinis. Now tell me if that's not a gyro to be proud of. 100% vegan, 100% fresh, 100% done by you, with a little guidance from Chef Red. And once again, I want to thank Brandon from Pittsburgh to, give me the idea to create this, because he wanted to see a chicken recipe that we can use to make something wonderful and delicious. I thank you for watching, and once again, like always, like and subscribe, and I appreciate you watching. Thanks a lot.